What's up, guys, and welcome to a special London edition of Gamescript. We're looking at the New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos, and the Jets are not favored in this game. They are looking to lose this game according to Vegas, but they are loaded with fantasy weapons. And what does that mean for how we can build our lineups against these Denver Broncos? I'm going to dig into it and build some lineups right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript, looking at the special London game between the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. We got a 43.5-point total with Denver as 7-point favorites in this one. And the Jets are loaded with fantasy weapons, but they just have not gotten things together. Justin Fields continuing his traits of just kind of melting down as a real-life quarterback and delivering on fantasy stats, though. And he has weapons in Garrett Wilson. He's got Breece Hall. Just all sorts of fantasy goodness potential there, facing off against this Broncos team, which also has a running quarterback, which has historically, at least last year, delivered in fantasy points in Bo Nix. Also got a few weapons on his side. We'll get into that in a minute. Make sure to hit the like button first. I'm looking for 50 likes to put out my favorite plays in the comment section as we get closer to lock. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm looking for 2,100 subscribers. I only need about 90 left to get there, so help me get to that mark. That's been my goal, to hit that 2,100 subscribers by the end of week 6. I appreciate that. And make sure to also subscribe because you want to have access to the free beta preview that's coming out of my website. I'm giving free beta preview to all my YouTube subscribers, so you're going to want to subscribe there. Now let's get into this game. We're looking at the Broncos versus the Jets. Like I said, we're looking at a total of 43.5 with the Jets as 7-point dogs in this one. Both teams flying out early to London for this game, so it might not be as sloppy as one might expect. I believe the Broncos flew out after beating the Eagles. They took a red eye to London right after that game, and the Jets flew out on Monday. So both these teams have had plenty of opportunity to acclimate to the jet lag and everything that you might want to adjust to in these types of games. So no real advantage there. We're looking at a Jets team whose defense, they brought in a defensive-minded coach, but their defense has kind of taken a big step backwards, has not been a very good defense. They've been giving up 20 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position and 22.5 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. That's going to set up Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been kind of up and down this season, but he got off to a slow start last season as well. I would not be surprised to see Bo Nix start to pick things up. It's a good opportunity for him in this game against the Jets this week. Justin Fields has, been his typical Justin Fields self, but he's putting up the fantasy points and has not won a game yet this season. They'd love to get a win here against the Broncos in London this week. But Justin Fields, really not even right. He's had a couple close games, I guess, but really has not been that good this year. But we're looking at 29 DraftKings points, 28 and 26. So that's all we care about with the building our DraftKings lineups. Garrett and Wilson, he's done pretty well too with these Justin Fields. Like they're probably playing, a lot of these points probably come from garbage time, but we're looking at 22.5, 24, 20, and 19. Clearly the favorite target of Justin Fields. He's had a couple double-digit target games already. He's going to be in play for us. But unfortunately, against the Broncos have been a much better defense, and Garrett Wilson is likely to have the coverage of Pat Surtain. They've only given up 17.7 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. They have given up 10 DraftKings points a game to the slot. And Garrett Wilson's been running a decent amount in the slot, so he might be in play for us there. With the running backs, I mentioned Breece Hall. The Broncos have been decent against running backs as well. They're only giving up 19 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. 13, by the way, to the quarterback position is what the Broncos are giving up. So trouble all around for these Jets skill position players in this game. Courtland Sutton is not in the best spot. He's probably going to be up against Sauce Gardner. The wideouts have only been getting 17.7 DraftKings points a game from the 19.9 from the Jets defense. So Courtland Sutton, not the best setup there. Where the Broncos have been giving up points has been to the tight end position. Where the Jets have been giving up points has been to the tight end position and the slot position. So if we're looking at tight end, that would set up Evan Ingram to have a decent game. Evan Ingram has not really done too much so far since he's joined the Broncos, but the last couple weeks he had 6 targets and 7 targets. So that would set him up to have a decent game here against the Jets. So I wouldn't sleep on Evan Ingram this week. The primary slot receiver for the Broncos is Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin had a few good, decent target games, but he hasn't really delivered on anything yet. He goes way back, shower narrative with his quarterback. They went to college together, but Troy Franklin has not delivered anything yet. But I would not be surprised to see him get a decent amount of targets in this one. Another guy who runs a decent amount out of the slot, who's more interesting from a captain perspective, is Marvin Mims. He's at 4,800. Marvin Mims, we saw a 20-point game out of him the other week, but he's definitely a guy that can exploit that slot. Here's another reason why I am interested in the slot. We're looking at the depth chart for the Broncos here. Michael Carter, their primary nickelback, is out this week. So that's going to set up a decent game from the slot receiver, in addition to also having a little bit of weakness already in the defense of the slot by the Jets so far this season. But if we're looking at the rest of the injuries while I'm here, we're looking at some damage to the linebacker core. That sets up J.K. Dobbins for us. We're looking at Alan Lazard is out. That could be just because they didn't want to buy a plane ticket for him. Irvin Charles is out. And we're looking at some damage to the offensive line. Elijah Vera Tucker is out, and Gus Hartwig is also out. Looking at the Broncos, we're looking at Michael Burton is on IR. He's their fullback. Ben Powers on IR, left guard. Another right guard on IR as well, so banged up in the offensive line there. Looking at the defense seems to be, they got Johnny Walker on IR, Dre Greenlaw on IR, Drew Sanders on IR, Jonah Ellis is out. So basically banged up in the linebacker core, so that sets up Breece Hall as well. And as I mentioned, the Jets have a difficult matchup for their running backs, but let me take a look and see if I can find a nugget here. He's been getting a decent amount of targets. He's at about 16% of the targets. That puts him at top 10 for wideouts or for running backs. And according to Rich Rebar, the Broncos have been giving up points through the air to the running back position, which is good for that Breece situation when he's getting that many targets. He says that they're allowing 10.2 receiver points per game to the running back position. That's a top 10 matchup for a running back that's getting a lot of pass catching work in Breece Hall. So if we're looking at Breece there, 21 DraftKings points in 16 in each of the last 2 weeks. He had 19.5 in week 1. So he's been getting a decent amount of usage. He had some comments a few weeks ago about how whenever the opponents shoot themselves in the foot, the Jets shoot themselves in the head. It was a great line, but Breece Hall summed it up perfectly there. But he's in contention for a captain option for us. Although I think he'll be highly owned this week. J.K. Dobbins also in contention. The Jets have been a much easier matchup, giving up 22.5 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. Troy Franklin, the guy I mentioned earlier. Evan Ingram, also talked about him already. Let's move on to the Broncos D. Broncos D will be in play. They haven't had they've had a couple double-digit weeks, but nothing too crazy. Mason Taylor has been getting his uptick in usage. The problem is the Broncos are only giving up 9.5 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. But we saw him get a nice 17.7 game last week and then 11.5 the week before that. So he's ticking up in his usage. So we don't want to rule him out in our player pool. Both these kickers are going to be in play. Lutz has not done too much, but the offense has been a little bit sluggish. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a decent game, especially if they're able to slow these guys down. Nick Folk, much better season so far, a few double-digit weeks. I don't know how well the Jets are going to move the ball in this one, but Folk will be in play. RJ Harvey is in play. He's saw an uptick in usage a few weeks ago when they blew out Cincinnati. If it's a similar situation, we could see something closer to this 19 DraftKings point week and potentially a huge amount of usage for RJ Harvey if things go the way that they might get blown out. So it might blow out the Jets. Isaiah Davis, he's been kind of the backup since what's his Braylon Allen went out, but Isaiah Davis, this is another reason why Breece Hall's been getting a decent amount of work. When Braylon Allen went down, it left really not anyone of note behind Breece Hall. Josh Reynolds, 4 targets last week, 2 the week before that. Hasn't done too much, but Josh Reynolds has been kind of a reliable receiver in the past, and he's facing off against his old team. I believe he was on the Broncos last year or maybe a couple years ago. I think. I can't remember if Reynolds, I swear he was on the Broncos. Josh Reynolds. Now I have to check it. Yeah, this is a kind of a revenge game. He was on there for a little bit, but Josh Reynolds, Marvin Mims Jr., that same matchup that I was talking about. He's going to be. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Yeah, same matchup I was talking about versus the slot. He runs probably about a third of his routes in the slot. So at 4,800, that's going to set him up as a potential captain option. We've seen his upside in the past. Like I said, 20 DraftKings points a few weeks ago. Jets D, they haven't been playing well. Otherwise, I'd say maybe keep them in mind. Not really interested in Ruckert. Troutman, not interested there. I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. If we're looking at a low-owned guy, Pat Bryant might be interesting, but he hasn't gotten any usage. Deuce Vaughn, I don't see anyone else of interest as I'm going lower and lower on this depth here. All right, so let's go ahead and build a lineup. This is going to be a quick one because I think it's pretty straightforward. So we can try a couple different ways in the captain. I think Breece Hall is going to be a popular captain. He's at a good price point, and he gets that usage in the pass game. But let's put Dobbins in that captain, knowing the weakness of the Jets. Let's get Nix and Fields both in there too. because we know that Nix and Fields are going to be popular, and this is more of a chalky build. I'm going to put in Mims as well. That's going to leave us with 5,600 per guy. And if I'm doing that, I'm going to put Ingram in there because we know that he is a pass catcher that isn't a good matchup. And that leaves us with like both of these kickers as options. We could just decide to go only with Fields as our only jet. If we wanted to, we could take out Ingram and we could put in Hall with Fields. Only leaves us with 1,500. And that doesn't leave us with very many options. So probably tough to get Hall in there. If we wanted to, maybe get Mason Taylor in there. He's been targeted a decent amount recently. That leaves us out of Ingram range, but it puts us in like the Broncos range and both the kickers and RJ Harvey. Let's get Taylor out. Let's get Ingram back in there. If we wanted to, we could put like RJ Harvey in this build as well. So, that's an option there. If we wanted to say that maybe Nix isn't needed in this one, let's get Breece Hall in this one. This is with 6,100. Same thing. We could get like the Broncos D in this one too. Potentially like Mason Taylor if you wanted to, or both of these kickers are in play there. Let's clear this one out. Let's go with the Breece Hall captain build. But let's go with the Bo Nix. Let's go with Bo Nix. Let's pair him with Franklin and let's pair him with Mims to give us some salary relief. We know we're going to want to pay up and get like Fields or Hall potentially. Let's get both those guys. That leaves us with 3,100. Get the Jets D, you get Ruckert. You got Pat Johnson as an option, Pat Bryant as an option, which could be interesting. Let's say we let's get Fields out of there. Let's go with Dobbins. We get actually, you know what? Let's put RJ Harvey in there instead. That leaves us 9,400. Let's get Breece out of there. Let's put Fields back in. That leaves us at 8,600. We can get Ingram in there and give another pass catcher. Let's swap out. Let's swap out Franklin for Ingram and see what that does for us. 9,400. We can get Dobbins in this build. I like this build a lot. We're 400 short of getting Breece Hall in there, but we got Dobbins as an option. If we wanted to swap out Fields for Breece Hall, we could get Garrett Wilson in there, and Sutton and Dobbins. It leaves us with a few different options. So Bo Nix, you could swap him out with Justin Fields in this build too, honestly. Like you could use either of those guys. Those guys are both going to be highly owned in this one. Let's swap that out. Let's go with a lesser owned guy in the captain. Let's see. Let's say I wanted to put in someone cheap. Let's say that maybe we see one of those big games out of Harvey if it's a garbage time situation. Let's get Nix. Let's get Fields. Let's get Breece. Leaves us with 6,100 per guy. Let's get Ingram in this one. And 6K for this one. Like we got Broncos D as an option. Mason Taylor in that one too. One of these kickers. If we wanted to swap out Ingram for Mims, leaves us with 9K. We can get Franklin in this build, or or like Ingram in this build too. That would leave a little too much salary on the table, probably. But gives us some options. Let's get rid of Harvey. Let's put Dobbins in that captain. If we're doing this build with that. Direction. Let's take Nix out again, and let's get Ingram in there with Mims. Leaves us with 6,100. Broncos D, Mason Taylor. Just a few options there. I just wanted to try that out. I know we had Dobbins already in the captain. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other sneaky guys that I would like in the captain. If we wanted to, let's say that Mims ends up having one of his big games in this one. Let's get Mims in there. Nix. We got Fields. Let's give him Hall. 7K per guy. We could get like Ingram. No, let's get Dobbins in this one. Leaves us with 4,600. We got some cheap options down here too. We could get Harvey in this one. I mean, with this type of build, we can get basically like all the studs in there with Mims, except for like Wilson or if we wanted to swap out Dobbins for Wilson, we could do that. And does not quite get us to Harvey if we wanted to still have that run game representation in there with that good matchup that they have. So I would tend to stick with Dobbins in this build, and then maybe go for like Harvey and just go double running back against this vulnerable running back defense. But gives us a couple low-owned guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Give me the 50 likes. I'll put my favorite picks in the comment section when we get closer to lock. But this is a game where I would anticipate the Broncos to control throughout. The Jets D has not shown up. Broncos have been sluggish, but they're looking for their breakout week. Both teams flew in on Monday, so they're dealing with no jet lag. I just think overall the Jets, they've just been terrible, and I don't know if they're going to pick it up in this one, but we've seen it on these games though so far this season. Let's say that we want to do a better Jets build. I don't think it's going to be Wilson because he's dealing with the Surtain factor. So let's put Fields in the captain. Let's just do this one real quick. Fields, he's going to be passing it to Breece Hall, and he'll be passing it to Mason Taylor, let's say. Let's get Bo Nix in there, and leaves me with 4,100 per guy. Let's say I wanted to get a running back in there on the other side. Let's get Harvey in there, and that would leave us with Nix as an option for the passing game too. So this one I don't hate as well. This gives us a Jets build for a potential Jets win, and we've seen that a lot in these showdowns recently. But you saw how quickly I was able to put that together. So that gives you an idea when you go in the other direction, what kind of firepower you can put in these. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm looking for getting to 2,100 subscribers. Give me the 50 likes so I can put my favorites in the comment section. And I'll see you guys later on in the comments. Make sure to check out the main slate show already out.